welcome. Forgive me for having my back to you here. Welcome. Okay. What a wonderful problem to have so many people and all of us crammed together. So, like, I just want to give gratitude for your presence and for this wonderful problem that we have. So that is really fantastic. Hi, my name is Mark Valdez. I'm the Artistic Director of Mixed Blood Theater, and I want to thank you all so much for coming today. We implemented our rain plan, and so thank you for bearing with us as we were making that adjustment there at the last minute. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for being here. So you're here for 12 by 12. And this is a project that we are doing. I just moved here, so I'm new to the Twin Cities. It's my first year here. And really, as a way of getting to know the communities, I thought it might be fun to do work in, with, for, and about different neighborhoods in the Twin Cities. And I was also trying to figure out how I could get to know artists. So I combined those two things together. And so what we've done is we've commissioned 12 artists to work in 12 neighborhoods. And this is one of them. This is number 8. Yes. This is neighborhood 8 out of 12. And they're all listed here in the program on the back. On August 19th and 20th, we're going to bring all 12 neighborhoods together, and you're going to sample all of that today here in Rondo. So because this does not happen without the help of a lot of people, I just want to thank our community partners here. They're listed in the program. The Rondo Center of Diverse Expression and Rondo Commemorative Plaza, Marvin Anderson and Linda Cobb especially. Thank you. There, you see him right here. So I want to thank them. We'll invite Marvin to welcome us here in just a second. In just 1 second, we'll hear from Marvin. We want to thank the Hallie Q Brown Center, Jonathan Palmer there, the Reconnect Rondo, Keith Baker, Rondo Community Library, our Streets Minneapolis, Ember Rasmussen, who has been working with us here on our staff. They're listed right here, Raul and Tay and Tolu and Evelyn and Devin, Vince, Joe and Stacy. Thank you all so very much. If we could just give them all.
Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Marvin Roger Anderson. I'm the Executive Director of the Rondo Center of Diverse Expression and the Rondo Commemorative Plaza. There's been a lot of stories about Rondo. I was born and I was raised in Rondo. Our family home was on Rondo and Chatsworth. My father and 3 other men constructed 12 townhouses. They constructed them and watched them be destroyed, along with 999 other people. The neighborhood of Rondo was destroyed because they wanted to route a freeway through the heart of our community. And in doing so, they ushered in a destruction that in many ways we're still recovering from. But recovery can be hastened through friends and through efforts like 12 by 12 in the Mixed Blood Theater. The more our story is known, the more people can hear about it and take steps and assist us as we try to recover from a destruction that came on 70 years ago. I looked up something today. It was very interesting. The very first person to act was named Thespia 35 BC. So acting has been going on for a very, very long time, which makes us even more pleased that Mixed Blood Theater has joined with the Rondo Center of Diverse Expression for this extraordinary piece we're about to hear this afternoon. I'm assisted by Linda Cobb. Did she stand up? Did Linda? Linda is our administrative assistant. And there are other people in the audience that I won't name that have been part of my life for a very, very long time. And there's the Ingram Jerry and his wife, Vicki. I've been knowing him since grade school. Forever. It seems like a long. Before, yeah. So welcome all of you to the Rondo Center of Diverse Expression. we'll turn the program back over to this wonderful group of people, and if we can be of any assistance, just let us know.
Thank you so much. Great, welcome, Hawona Sullivan Janzen. So Hawona, just if you wanted to share with us a little bit about what you've been doing, how we got here, and your connection to the community.
Yes, absolutely. I was born in Shreveport, Louisiana. Maybe we don't need to go back that far. Anyway, I moved to the Twin Cities when I was 6 months old from Louisiana. And my parents immediately, according to family lore, brought me to Rondo because they wanted me a historian and a social practice artist. I helped the community to redesign and reconstruct the Dale Street Bridge over Interstate 94. This time it recognizes that it tore apart a community. This time it has several healing places. It has the languages of people who have occupied this land from the earliest memories, starting with Dakota and going on from there. It's a different bridge this time. Together with friends with connections to Rondo, including photographer Chris Scott, we photographed elders here in the community, and then Clarence White and I took turns crafting a poem for each person. Those works were printed onto lawn signs and became part of a walk you could take through MLK Park during the Northern Spark Festival, and now are on display on the walls at the Hallie Q Brown Center. So that was then, this is now. I was invited by Mixed Blood to be a part of the 12 by 12 and to come back to Rondo again. And this time, from all the work I had done in the past, I wanted us to not just remember the past, but I wanted this project to invite us to walk together into the future. And there, Freeway Stories was born. So I'll read to you the artistic statement. It seems every story about our beloved Rondo starts and ends with the destruction that was caused by the freeway. And that is an important story. But what if we deepen it? What if we try something different? Each one of us, no matter who we are, and no matter where we live now, have a story about how freeways have affected our lives. What if we told those stories, those freeway stories? This is my little way of preserving what we often take for granted. I spent the last few months inviting people to share their stories with me, and some of those are included in the play. Afterward, there are recordings of some of the interviews and excerpts from them, and you're invited to go over and listen for just a couple minutes to give someone else a chance to hear them as well. Without further ado, I'd like to invite in the cast members. Cast members? So this is a table reading. So that means, normally there'd be a table. But this is me right here. So.
I like here. Okay, that's fine. I'll put it. No, that's good. So then I have to give her this microphone?
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks. So I'm going to read for you the cast of characters and invite them to introduce themselves as well. This is Freeway Stories, draft number 6. The cast of characters include Miss Lady, played by
Danielle Trueblood Lynch.
Mr. Man, played by
Jimmy Lee Bishop.
Little Bit, played by
Tolu Ekishana.
and Kid, played by
Paulina. Morera Quesada.
and I will serve as the narrator. the omniscient female with a silky smooth voice who sometimes bites off a little more than she can chew. Without further ado, we bring to you Freeway Stories.
We have another one. Plug it in.
Do we have another? Scott, we're gonna get another one? Nope.
Yeah, I can redo this.
Thank you for your patience. That's 5.
Number 5.
Test.
Test, test.
You're all night.
Freeway Stories, Act 1. Background. On the first day of summer, Little Bit, a tween girl with milk chocolate complexion, shoulder-length cornrows, and a smile as bright as the summer sun, stands with Kid, a caramel-skinned girl with straight black hair up in 2 high pigtails, Pippi Longstocking style. They are best friends. They are playing soccer with a ball that seems to think it's a rock. Then suddenly and unexpectedly, the rock ball goes through the community center window. Oh no, didn't see that coming. Don't worry, gentle viewers. The girls did not run. They went into the center and confessed their misdeed. They and their families agree that the girls will make restitution for the broken window by performing community service every Saturday morning for the first 2 months of summer. Oh no! There go Friday night sleepovers! But time passes quickly when you're a kid, and today is their last day.
Hey, where's the mop and bucket?
I don't know. I mean, it's normally right there.
Good morning, ladies. For the past 2 months, you've been coming here cleaning every Saturday, and today is your last day. Your hard work has been noticed, and, well, you've been promoted. Oh, yeah! We're about to get paid.
Uh-oh.
Why you say uh-oh?
After my dad got promoted, he worked like 80 hours a week. He was gone all the time. I don't want to work 80 hours a week. I'm only 11.
First of all, you 12. And second of all, you goofy. We can finally get those new kicks we've been saving up for.
Miss Lady smiles a knowing smile at Mr. Man, who has just entered the room. They chuckle for a moment. Both shake their heads, while Mr. Man whistles Peter Tosh's "You Can't Blame the Youth."
I've got good news and bad news. First, nobody is working 80 hours a week.
That's a relief.
But nobody's getting paid either. May I remind you that you are here to pay your debts? Every time you think about getting paid, remember that $1,000 window you broke?
Oh,
Right. Ladies, this is Mr. Man. He is here working on a freeway project, gathering stories from people in the neighborhood about I-94. I thought it would be nice if the two of you could help him out today.
Freeway Stories? But I can't even drive. And even if I could, my mom wouldn't let me drive on the freeway. She says it's too dangerous after what happened that time.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. One time, like way back during COVID, kid, her mom, her brother, and sister were driving to visit her grandma. Her mom cut some...
I feel like I can tell this story myself. Okay. So my mom cut somebody in a white pickup truck off, and they started honking at her. My mom pulled over to the shoulder to let them pass, but then the guy pulled over too. She rolled down the window and said, "Sorry, I didn't see you." Then the guy pulled out a gun and said, "I bet you see this though, don't you?" We were all super scared. My mom started driving, and the guy started driving too, and he followed us for like 10 minutes.
It was more like 15 miles. What? What? You texted me. I remember. And dude also said some racist stuff. She left that part out. And so now her mom won't drive on the freeway anymore.
That's terrible. Was everybody okay?
I mean, I guess so. He didn't shoot us or nothing, but my little brother had nightmares for weeks, and my mom kept on crying every time. She had to take us somewhere for like a month.
And?
And I guess I was scared too. It's been over a year, but every time
we're playing outside and a white pickup truck drives past, she always wants to go inside.
I don't blame you. That sounds very scary.
It really does. I'm sorry that happened to you, and I'm sorry that happened to your family.
Thank you. I'm sorry it happened too.
There's silence for a bit. Then Mr. Mann breaks the silence with a question.
Miss Lady, do you have a freeway story you'd like to tell?
I mean, we're in old Rondo. This neighborhood is just a big old ball of freeway stories. Which one do you want to hear? I could tell you about my neighbor whose granddaddy refused to sell his property when the government was taking everybody's land through eminent domain to build the freeway. Or I could tell you about how scared I was when the sheriff and all those people came in front of his house and forced him out. We were all worried he was gonna get hurt or even killed. I could tell you about how the government tore our community apart to build a freeway because obviously we don't matter. We're just black people trying to live their lives. I could tell you about how the fire department burnt down my best friend's house for practice, and how her mama and daddy watched and cried while it burnt to the ground because it was so beautiful. And they knew with the unfair settlement they got from the government, they could never afford to rebuild. I've got a lot of freeway stories, but I'm sure you young ladies have heard all about them in school, right? Nope.
I mean, at rainy day recess, maybe somebody was talking about it, but there's nothing about forcing people out of their houses or burning them down in the lessons I am learning at schools. That just seems mean.
Real mean. I'm sorry that happened to your friend, Miss Lady. I'm sorry that happened to you too.
We're both sorry.
Thank you, ladies. Now you understand why we're doing this project. If we don't write down our stories and share them with each other, they will disappear with us when we leave the earth.
And we're both pretty old. So we're hurrying up and getting everything written down.
Suddenly, the front doors fly open, and a group of people enter the community center. Is this where we're supposed to tell our freeway stories? One lady asks.
Yes, ma'am, it is. And these young ladies are eager to help you right here.
All day long, Mr. Man, Miss Lady, Little Bit, and Kid listen attentively and record the stories shared with them by the community. One lady tells them about the time her family car ran out of gas on the way to Como Zoo, and how her dad raced to the exit on foot, filled up a gas can, and came back within a matter of minutes. She says she has never forgotten that day because it's helped her many times when she was in a tough spot to remember that if her dad was such a good problem solver, then maybe she could be too. Another lady told them about the time their freeway was closed for work, and the residents got permission to go down onto the freeway to clean up all the garbage that was floating around, and how people whose families had lost their homes started crying when they touched the ground because they realized it was the first time anyone in their family had touched that soil since they'd been forced out. There was a lady whose brother worked for years without thinking about how they forced his family out, and how walking on the Dale Street pedestrian bridge used to be so steep that he and his papa would have to hold extra tight to his grandpa's wheelchair whenever they walked over the freeway bridge, to be sure his chair didn't roll right out into traffic. Scene 2. At the end of the day, two very tired young ladies turn in their recording devices and help pack up the chairs in the community center.
Well, it was nice meeting you two young ladies.
Nice to meet you.
Miss Lady and Mr. Man, me and Kid are just wondering, would you tell us more about the freeway? When the freeway came through, we're thinking it would be a good topic for a History Day project.
And could we maybe come back and help you some other time? There's probably a lot more people's stories that need to be recorded, right?
I think that would be just lovely if you did that. On one condition. You teach me and Mr. Man how to play soccer. I've been watching you two. It seems like as long as you stay away from windows, y'all have some pretty good moves.
The end. Or is it?
Thank you all again for coming and for packing in here on what was very briefly a rainy day. Now it's gorgeous out there. I hate to admit. Can we give another round of applause for our reading? So, Hawona asked us if we could get some feedback, some thoughts on the play. And we also have some food coming. It got held up by the rain a little bit like everything else, but it's on its way. It's going to be here in 10. And we also have here at the Rondo Center of Diverse Expression, you probably saw coming on the way in these lovely installations that capture photographic sort of evidence of what was here before and of the freeway coming in. So we ask that you stick around. Stick around for a little bit. We've got note cards to share your feedback. We've got, if you have freeway stories yourselves, we want to hear them because this work is continuing and Hawona wants to be collecting all the freeway stories we can so that when we see this again in at Mixed Blood on August 19th and 20th, we'll even see an expanded version of what you just heard here today. And of course, we want to share some food with y'all. So feel free, grab their restrooms are this way. There's waters, there's food coming, and then if you could grab a note card and share, and I'll hand it over to Hawona. Thank you all so much. Oh, yes, yes.
There's a blue car right here near the alley. Could you just move that away?
Well, as Tay mentioned, the work on the play will continue. The idea for the 12 by 12 festival is that if you come, you get a chance to glimpse into 12 different communities here in the Twin Cities. And I think what we and the folks at the Rondo Center for Diverse Expression have discovered is that these stories are even more amazing than we thought. And we want to keep gathering them. So if you have stories, if you know people who have stories, you'll see on the program my phone number, and you're invited to just give me a call, drop us a line. I'd love to hear. Oh, but we're not telling them now, though. But you'll have to call them. So what we would love to do now, first is I want to turn it over to the cast, because believe it or not, they've had 24 hours to look at this play and get ready to perform it here. And so I'd love to invite them to share any feedback or insights or questions that they might have about their characters, about what happens in the play. Will you share with us what you thought?
Actually, I just was really moved by it because my brother lived in St. Paul for a while, and actually we were at the Taste of Rondo last night, just and seeing all these pictures, just really seeing we were talking to people about Freeway Stories and about the history of the community.
I resonated a lot with my character, Kid. Even though I'm not 11, I mean 12. I am fairly new to the Twin Cities, and so I'm not familiarized with its history. And so I was telling Tolu that on my way here, all the sidewalks were destroyed, and I was like, where am I going? What is happening? And then she's like, well, yeah, that's part of like the effects of the I-94 taking over. And I was like, oh, wow, I read about this, and then I physically experienced the changes that these characters are learning about in the story. And so it was quite impactful to be a part of this and to put that history out there.
I'm pretty familiar with the Rondo stories, and it's kind of a thing you hear about frequently. You hear about the Rondo neighborhood, but being here, just outside on the plaza, and recognizing like I'm here. Like I've been hearing about it for many years, but I'm really here. This is it, you know. And you don't think about. I drive up and down 94 every day, like, you know, from Rogers to Minneapolis to St. Paul. So I mean, like, thank you, and thank you all for being here today. It's, beautiful to hear the stories.
Well, for me, I've been hearing the stories for many years. I'm not originally from Minnesota. I too am from Monroe, Louisiana. So just being here and hearing the stories and being somewhat familiar with the Rondo neighborhood, it's a trauma that is, still, being worked on today. As far as Miss Lady, yeah, I resonate with Miss Lady. Miss Lady can come off to be a little snazzy, a little jazzy, but she's just that Miss Lady. And thank you all for coming out.
Okay, interrupt for just 1 second. Yeah. So we have a guest with us. I just wanted to introduce, this for all of the people who are streaming. So we have a guest with us today that we would like to introduce. This is a representative for this district who is here and also just had some words to share. So I'll let you share some thoughts.
Well, hello, and thank you. My name is Sanakat Hussein. I'm a representative District 65A, where we are right here. And I am a Rondo community. I grew up here. and I went middle school, high school, and lived all my life pretty much. And I am the legacy of Vice Chair of Finance and Arts. This year I have been fighting for community to tell their stories. That's how we can tell our stories. And I've been funding and fighting for across the street, the Minnesotas throughout the state, especially the Posse Caucus and people that has been underserved. And we're trying to address that. This is the year that we had a trifecta. We try to fight and to do a lot of great things for Minnesota so we could close the gaps, the racial, social, economic disparity that we have seen for many years. I'm honored to be here with you and the mixed black community, and I'm a member of Rondo Reconnect, working with them closely and make sure that the community decide what they want. And I say, what about the surrounding the community? Those are the people that we need to uplift so they could do better, our state could do better. Thank you very much, and thanks for having me here, and I appreciate it. And you will see a lot of change from Sierra side. You will see a lot of change from Rice Street Boulevard. You will see a lot of change on University Avenue, because we are fighting for day and night to make sure that businesses reflect the community and the state. Thank you for having me.
So before we break for food, I thought it might be nice to invite anyone who might have a question to pose that question now. Anyone? Anyone? No question? I feel like you have a question. Do you have a question? Well, I have a question. Do they teach you about... You like to play? Well, wonderful. Your check is in the mail, by the way. Do they teach you about Rondo in school? Have you learned about it in Minnesota history? No? Okay. That's good to know.
But I've learned like word stuff.
Oh. But not about that. Interesting. Anybody have questions for me or for the cast or for Marvin, Linda? Yes, you have a question?
Just wanna, how many stories were you able to get during the time that you set aside to invite the community?
So it was very slow at the beginning. For months, I was just meeting with people and asking them if they would help me when the time came. And then we were invited to come to the Juneteenth celebration that was actually on Juneteenth that the Rondo Center was hosting. And that's when the wind really got beneath our wings. And lots of people came. Only, I think, 3 people shared stories that day, but almost 20 people wrote their names down on the list to say they would love to talk to us, that they wanted to invite us to events that they were hosting or communities that they were a part of. And then we hosted a couple of more sessions at the Rondo Library. And overall, for this project, we are using 8 of those stories. And there are more folks on the calendar who I'll be meeting with starting next week. Yes?
When I saw the play, I felt like I was in a graphic novel.
Oh.
Because like, the kids were talking kind of like graphic.
You know what? I think this would be an amazing graphic novel. Don't you? That is such a great idea because, you know, plays live in different ways than graphic novels do. And if the idea really is to connect with youth who might not be getting the story in school, a graphic novel would be a wonderful way of doing that. Thank you for suggesting that, even. And thank you for having the ability to leap beyond what you saw in front of you into what it could possibly be. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes?
I'm curious if you know how many of the stories in the story when it talks about people who were forced to relocate or evidently stayed, or did a lot of them stay in the community and still make that their home, or were they forced to kind of leave for a while and then come back?
Where's Marvin? I think Marvin would be better to answer that question. Did he step out? Did you hear that question, Barbara? She was asking if data was kept on how many of the people who actually were forced out, relocated inside of the community versus moving elsewhere. And if we know anything about how many folks have come back, and I think it would be great to talk about that pilot program for people to return to the community. Would you want to share about that?
Well, I'll start with that. That's the pilot program that Mayor Carter proposed.
Oh, that's right. There are people on Zoom.
Yeah, Mayor Carter has instituted a program that will, if you're a Rondo resident, a descendant of a Rondo person owned a home, you can get and you buy a home in Rondo, they'll give you $50,000 towards the purchase of that home. And if you stay in that home for the period of time, I'm not exactly sure how long it is, the loan will be forgiven. You can fix up a home. And I'm thinking that it might be $100,000, and $50,000 can be used to rehab a home in the Rondo community. So I think that's a very positive step forward into trying to rebuild the Rondo community. The state representative mentioned the Reconnect Rondo group, of which I am a part, along with a board member here at Nick Khalik. We have a program and a plan underway where we're hoping to build about 200 homes. If we're successful in building the land bridge, which will reconnect Rondo on both sides from Chatsworth to Grotto, and along with other things as well. There's a fix-up program going on, and there's a group called the Rondo Land Trust, which is purchasing homes in the Rondo community, and then they're qualifying people to move into the rates, the whole gentrification thing. So that if you have to sell the home back to the Rondo Land Trust, that takes away that incentive to stay here until something gets built, and then I'm going to sell it high. So there are plans underway to bring the community of Rondo back together should they choose to do so. And our Reconnect Rondo project hopes to put the homes there that will bring people back as it is. To the first question, there are various statistics about how many, I say there were 1,000 homes. How many were in each home is kind of hard to quantify at this late stage of the game. We do know that a major group of Rondo people left here and moved to the West Coast. They moved to the area of Los Angeles. We once had a program out there called Rondo West, and we invited them back. So I would say a lot of people left for Arizona. Some went as far away as North Minneapolis and South Minneapolis, and some just moved out into Dayton and other ways, just expanded. Rondo basically stopped at Marshall, but they moved to Dayton and Ashland and areas like that. So you'll see Rondo folk around different places, but I can't really tell you how much. Can I just add one more thing? There's a comic book up there. What we're doing here at the Rondo Center of Diverse Expression is collecting books that have been written by or about the Rondo community. And this year at Juneteenth, we were so happy to give a special recognition to a grade school teacher here in St. Paul who wrote a comic book. It's not called comic, they have another name for it. Graphic novel, there you go. Comic book, graphic novel. But she did it on Rondo. And she takes the young people through Rondo, and she's a science teacher. And so she's in her class, and that's a wonderful book. Mr. Rondo's Spirit are books that are written. There's another one called Joey and Grandpa's Day in Rondo and the Days of Rondo. So we're trying to get more books into the hands of young people like you so that you will understand the heritage and the legacy of the community of Rondo, which we think is very important. So I can tell you more about that if you have questions.
Judith.
I wondered if you knew about the art exhibit at the university by Mel and Rose Smith on Rondo. That was a very moving, yet again another expression.
Yes, so that was at the Wiseman Art Museum some years ago. And I was actually invited together with Clarence White to come to the opening of the installation and do this thing that we do called improvisational poetry. So we were set up with typewriters and in the gallery, and people were invited after they had seen the exhibit to come and sit in a chair and talk to us about their feelings about it, their connections to the community. And in exchange for sharing with us, we would type them a poem and give it to them, and it was theirs to keep. And I have to say, for me, during the downtimes, I would walk around and photograph the labels that have been so gorgeously written by the artist when they were working on this story over the years. And so then I put together a collection of poems just for them and gave it to them in support of the project. So yes, and it's a big deal because together with their installation came chances to see films and have other conversations, to have poets come and talk about their experiences. And so the exhibit to me is it shows how when the institution is willing to open its doors, the community will come out and support the story and make it much richer for the encounter.
Awesome. Hey, folks, so we're approaching time, and so a couple of announcements. So number one, space. So thank you so much. Please keep coming back here, support this vital and rich organization here in the neighborhood. So what's going to happen next is we have some really good food. So Rondo neighborhood is blessed person between you and the food. So thank you for being here. Enjoy.